Last night looked like a team that had a little something to them. Not just talent, not just high recruiting pedigree, not just, McDonald's All-Americans or whatever else they have on their resumes. They had a little something to them, little substance. And I darn near gave up on them. I really did. Not giving up on them, the basketball team, because when you shoot as well as they can, you always kind of have that slingshot in the David versus Goliath, although Duke would never be described as a David. But you always have the ability to beat anybody when you can shoot like that. But I had zero faith, zero trust in them winning a street fight. They could win an archery battle where everybody's just sniping from distance. I didn't think they could win a fist fight. I'm starting to think they might be able to. They waited until I gave up on them to go, all right, let's show something. And guess where they build their edge? They build their edge off of two people. Tyrese Proctor, Jared McCaan. Proctor started, played 38 minutes. McCaan started, played 38 minutes. Nobody else played more than 31. Those two guys are the guys Scheyer's looking at and saying, if you don't get in foul trouble, if you don't get hurt, be prepared to drive this train. Proctor controlled the action. McCaan, even on a day when he, as the best shooter on the team, or at least one of, didn't shoot it very well from three, finished with 9 points, 10 rebounds, and 3 assists. That's a player using whatever it takes to have an impact on the game, right? Coach is trusting me with these minutes. I'm 1 of 6 from 3, or I'm on my way to being 1 of 6 from 3. You darn sure I'm going to leave my fingerprint on the game, whether it's the way I normally do or some other way. It's the equivalent of I'm leaving with something.
Yeah.
I go into this arena, I'm leaving with 20 points. If I can't get 20 points, I'm getting 10 boards. If I can't get 10 boards, I'm getting 8 assists. If I can't get 8 assists, I'm using all my fouls.
I'm going to contribute in some way.
I'm leaving with something. Here's Jon Scheyer on the win last night over Virginia Tech and what it could be for the team.
I thought we came out ready to play. Outside that segment in the end of the first half, we let them back in it with probably some poor offense on our part. And besides that, we just were together, tough. They're a really good team. They especially here, man, they can really, we know from experience. And I'm just proud of the effort to come back 2 games in 3 days. You beat 2 really good teams in Clemson and Virginia Tech. And I think this can be a launching pad for us.
A launching pad? I don't. That might be dramatic. Let's just call it what it is. I think it's more maybe a tune-up to a launching pad. There's a big game on Saturday that I'm sure many of you have heard of.
Steps leading up to the launch.
Exactly. I high jumped in high school for a year. Right.
Makes sense. You're tall.
Yeah, it was very much like hey, we don't have anyone else and you're lanky. I was like, cool, gotcha. But it is like, the steps are what matters for the launch, right? You have to time your steps, measure them out. Like, that's what this is. Could be a massive launching pad on Saturday against UNC. You needed to get your steps right leading up to it. Mm-hmm. Everyone on that team should follow Proctor and McCaan. In that order, I believe, when it comes to like, hey, how are we reacting to this? Right? Hey, this team is doing something. How do we react to it? Are we lowering our shoulders and driving to the bucket? Are we getting physical with our defense? What are the refs allowing us to do? Proctor and McCaan are the tone setters, which, by the way, Kyle Filipowski can still be the best player. I actually want to see more from him. 14-8, not enough last night, and that's saying a lot. He wasn't the driving force. He wasn't the attitude, but he can still be 22-12, right? It's maybe I should name this the Kawhi role, because Kawhi Leonard is always the one I think about first when I think of the best player on really good teams who is not like the tone setter, because he's so quiet and he keeps to himself. On those Spurs teams that were good, it was Kawhi, especially the last championship they had. Kawhi was the best player on the team, but the Duncan, the Parker, they controlled the tempo.
For sure.
The Raptors team that won it all. Kawhi was the best player on the team. Lowry, Gasol were kind of the tone setters, right? They were the guys that were measuring the locker room. Those were the guys that were grizzled when they had to be grizzled. Actually, if you pay attention to the NBA, the Clippers got things going in the right direction right now. Again, Kawhi's going to be your best player. You're going to look to Paul George, Russell Westbrook. You're going to look to other guys to be the tone setters. That can be Filipowski, right? He can be the best player. Meanwhile, Proctor and McCaan, who are also very, very good, could be the edge, the attitude. They can be the walking aura of the team. And I think that's more what you're looking for.
And Roach can be that veteran presence.
And Roach is the guy who, the saying is you'd rather have to tell your guys whoa than go. Mm-hmm. He can be the whoa. He can be, all right, relax a little. Give me the ball.
Little breath.
Yeah, like I always say, palms to the ground, like you're a quarterback telling the crowd to be quiet. Like, grab the ball, put it under one arm, look at everybody else. Hey, relax. They give us a shot clock for a reason, right? You don't have to play with your head like a chicken with your head chopped off. Which, by the way, I think he did really well last night. Speaking of knocking down threes, but is still battling that injury. Went out there, said, I'm having impact on the game. Here's Jon Scheyer talking about his veteran Jeremy Roach.
Look, he's not totally healthy. Right. He hasn't practiced in probably a week and a half. And he just wanted to gut it out. And, we brought him off the bench because of that. And, just his maturity, the way that he's got a rebound. I'm looking at the box right now. He didn't rebound tonight, but the threes he hit obviously were important. And probably the biggest one was the end of the first half. It's one of the biggest plays of the game that Sean and Flip made to get an extra possession, the kick out back to Jeremy.
I agree. That was a big shot going into half. But that's the veteran thing, right? End of half situations. Things are getting a little crazy. People start running around. Clock's winding down. Jeremy Roach looked like, it was a jumper and a game of horse on a Sunday at the park. Knocks it down. He had a couple of those. There was a straight ahead 3-pointer later on in the game that was just kind of like, all right, here we go. Choof. Good. It was actually an answer. It was actually kind of perfect, right? Virginia Tech hit a 3, but it wasn't. It was a chaotic 3, right? It bounced on the rim 3 times. Shooters roll. It was off an offensive rebound. It was kind of crazy. They come to the other side, and it was very, very much Jeremy Roach caught it at the top of the key, stepped in, knocked it down, and it didn't rattle home, right? It was the net didn't move. That's what Roach can be. And maybe that's what I'm saying here. Duke is starting to figure out their roles, not their roles on the court. We already knew what their roles like X's and O's were, right? It was Roach and McCaan were going to have to stretch the floor, be spacers, handle the rock. Proctor was going to be, at the beginning of the year, the guy pulling the strings, right? The distributor, the point guard, the flow controller. Filipowski was going to be the best guy down low. Young was going to be either minimal minutes as a starter off the bench. You were going to get Mitchell involved a ton. Stewart maybe as a energy guy off the bench. Like, these were the roles at the beginning of the year. We knew what they were basketball-wise. What they had to work through were their roles like in the social atmosphere of the team. Who's going to be the calming presence? Who's going to be the one that needs to be calmed? Who's going to be the back of the room? Who's going to be the front of the room? Right? It's, seemed like Filipowski was kind of forced into a leadership role early on, and it turns out he might just be, a Wooden Award candidate who, listens to somebody else break the team down before the game.
Yeah.
That's fine. Be Kawhi. Trust me, no one is mad at Kawhi.